Here at Chris 6, we cover the stories that matter to you. Even though the burn bans are lifted in the coastal bend, some neighbors are still taking precautions to keep their homes safe from a wildfire. Plus,
fixing streets across Corpus Christi has been top of mind for city leaders. I'm Alexis Scott, your neighborhood news reporter, with a look at the city's residential streets program and a sigh of relief from neighbors.
Scams are on the rise in Claiborne County. I'm Michaela Chavez, your neighborhood news reporter. I'll tell you which scams are making their way around town and how you can protect yourself.
and we're going to take a live look from our SPID Skycam this Wednesday morning. Traffic appears to be flowing pretty smoothly at this time, but of course we will check in with meteorologist Julia Quady. She's standing by with a look at your forecast and a look at your roadways this morning. And folks, it is Wednesday, April 2nd. Your Chris 6 Sunrise starts now. Good morning, folks. Welcome to Chris 6 News Sunrise. Thank you so much for starting your day with us. I'm Michelle Hoffman. Brian Hoffman is off. Steph is kind of working, but not going to be on air later today. Well, we do have meteorologist Julia Quady in for Steph this morning. Good morning, Julia.
Good morning, Michelle.
You had your pop quiz this morning about our Wednesday mantra. What is it?
Michelle, don't do this to me. It's still early.
Basically, it's Wednesday. If you're having a good week, you know, it's going to keep going. If you're having a bad week, don't worry, it's almost over. Okay. But hey, we're looking forward to, you know, heading up and out the door this morning for some of our drivers. So what can they expect?
Yeah, so they can expect some pretty easy driving conditions across the coastal bend this morning. Thankfully, we don't have to contend with those very foggy conditions that were in place for the early part of our work week. Now, of course, it's hump day. It's Wednesday. Things are looking much better in terms of our visibility. Just a little bit some patchy fog, just a smidgen of it for areas that are along the coast. But again, not so much so that's going to issue or cause the National Weather Service to issue any dense fog advisories for us, thankfully. But focusing on those traffic flow maps, we can see things are moving well, heading from Portland onto the Harbor Bridge, heading towards the Corpus Christi area and vice versa, heading towards downtown, all clear on Ocean Drive down to SPID as well as in Saratoga, looking at easy driving conditions on those three roadways as well this morning. Heading on over to Flower Bluff, looking good on Waldron Road and Flower Bluff Drive, but you can expect a bit of a more magnificent slowdown happening as you start to approach the gate at NAS Corpus Christi, but other than that, still looking to be pretty decent for your drive. And then heading on the JFK Causeway, going to and from the island, looking at easy driving conditions there too. That's it for your traffic report. Details on your forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Yeah, Julia, thank you so much. We'll check in with you in just a bit. But first, a look at some national headlines. Long-teased tariffs are expected to be unveiled today. President Donald Trump has dubbed April 2nd to be Liberation Day. He's hosting an event in the Rose Garden this afternoon where he's largely expected to announce reciprocal tariffs. It's unclear at this point which countries will face the new import taxes or how much they'll be. Coming up at 6:20, we'll check in with Scripps News Group Joe St. George for the latest on President Trump's tariffs. Now, New Jersey Senator Cory Booker broke the record for the longest speech in Senate history. 25 hours and 4 minutes. Booker began his marathon remarks on Monday. In order to keep control of the Senate, Booker remained standing and did not leave the floor for a bathroom break during his entire speech. The speech was not considered a filibuster because Booker is not blocking legislation or a nomination. Now, here at home, burn bans are being lifted across the coastal bend, and Nueces County lifted its burn ban on Monday, as we know. Now, Jim Wells and Duval counties have done the same. Neighbors in Jim Wells County have been under a burn ban here for nearly 5 months, and last month, a wildfire burned nearly 600 acres in Jim Wells County. Neighborhood News reporter Melissa Trevino spoke with Jim Wells County resident David Gomez, whose house is across the street from where the fire happened. Burn ban or not, Gomez says he takes precautions to keep his home safe from a wildfire.
I try to maintain my grass as short as I possibly can. During the spring and summer, I cut it like every other week, and they make fun of me because I have to cut my grass so much. But I think it's important to keep your yard clean and manicured so that they could keep it away from fires.
Yeah, exactly. Gomez says everyone living in rural neighborhoods should maintain their yards to reduce the risk of a wildfire. So we have received some much needed rain, right? But there is one byproduct of the rain that we don't need: mosquitoes. Those pint-sized vampires are causing grief for neighbors across the area. And they're not just a nuisance. Mosquitoes also carry diseases like West Nile virus. City County health officials told us about a human case of West Nile just a couple of weeks ago. Flower Bluff neighborhood news reporter Tony Jaramillo spoke with a public health official who says you haven't seen anything yet.
As we progress in this week, we'll probably see an uptick in those mosquito counts, but really our focus is on the prevention side through our larviciding to make sure that those populations don't get too high.
The city has been spraying for mosquitoes since yesterday. To find out when they'll be in your neighborhood, visit our website, christv.com.
Hey, good morning. Happy Wednesday. So heading out the door, we don't have to contend with all that dense fog that we had to deal with yesterday. Just a little bit some patchy fog just for areas that are along the coast. This includes Port Aransas, Rockport, and over in the Bluffton NAS Corpus Christi, dealing with around 5 miles or less for your visibility, at the least just around 3.5 miles. So again, not as bad as we had to contend with those foggy conditions yesterday. And that's just on the account of those faster wind speeds that we're looking at across the coastal bend that carry on over from yesterday into today. And that's going to stick around the forecast as we look ahead towards the remainder of our work week too. Let's go ahead and get in towards those temperatures right now. First, across the coastal bend, we're waking up to temperatures into the mid to upper 70s. So that's just on the account of all that moisture and humidity still packing on in. So that's why we'll see warmer temperatures starting out this morning that will thereby increase by the time we head towards this afternoon. And we can also see those wind speeds clocking around 25 miles an hour or more across the coastal bend. Seeing a bit of a lull in those wind speeds going further inland, only clocking around 13, maybe 17 miles an hour over in Beeville. Of course, faster wind speeds for areas that are along the coast, and those are sustained winds. Those wind gusts, those are going to be going a bit of a faster rate, around 40 miles an hour or more right now at this hour, and that's going to continue as we look ahead towards the next hour by 7 o'clock in the morning. But then thankfully by midday, we'll see a bit of a dip in those wind gust speeds going around 35 miles an hour, but not too much. We'll still be looking at around an average of at least 35 mile an hour wind gust speeds across the coastal bend for us this afternoon. But really the main weather story for us today is just going to be that summer-like heat that we'll be dealing with for this afternoon. Looking at our forecast high temperatures across the coastal bend, looking at temperatures at least towards the 90s or even approaching the triple digits in areas like Kingsville, Alice, Freer, as well as Falfurrias and Hebbronville, seeing those triple-digit high temperatures for your afternoon high temperature for this afternoon. And again, those are actual temperatures. For our feel-like temperatures, those are going to skyrocket, potentially even higher, reaching around the upper 90s by the time we get towards lunchtime. Then around, of course, the hottest part of the afternoon, 3, 4 o'clock, all of us across the coastal bend, most of us looking at our feel-like temperature going above the triple digits, around 101 or 102 degrees. So again, that summer-like heat is going to definitely be on deck for us this afternoon, so you want to make sure you're practicing heat safety tips, making sure you get time in that air conditioning to cool off today, and making sure you stay hydrated because that heat risk is going to be elevated for us across the coastal bend, anywhere between minor or moderate risk that will be in store for today. That will extend towards the remainder of our work week, even heading towards Friday, still going to have that minor to moderate risk for that into the area. So we'll be looking at that summer-like heat lasting as we look ahead towards the remainder of our work week, along with those breezy conditions. And then we'll have a slight chance for some overnight showers Saturday, leading to that next cold front that'll cool us down next week.
People cleaning up the beach at Padre Island National Seashore after spring break came across what they call an interesting discovery. I'm Erin Holly, your Padre Island neighborhood news reporter, telling you what that is and why Texas Parks and Wildlife game wardens now have it. Padre Island National Seashore, you can find a lot of different things washing ashore. But what some people cleaning the beach after spring break tell me they found has them shaken. I'm Erin Holly, your Padre Island neighborhood news reporter. A Texas Parks and Wildlife game warden tells me what those neighbors found was 2 bricks of cocaine.
It was just something you really don't ever expect.
Expecting the unexpected is what Caitlin and Daniel Weinheimer had to do last weekend. Both were visiting from Victoria to volunteer for a beach cleanup here at Padre Island National Seashore.
So I pick it up and brush it off, and it has this little picture of a gator on it and some words in a different language. So I take it to my aunt, which is leading the beach cleanup, and she says it might be drugs.
11-year-old Daniel's aunt was right.
I actually found the 2 bricks of cocaine that they saw and turned it over to Warden Gross, and he actually took it and then turned it over to the Penns Rangers.
Daniel discovered the first brick of cocaine. Another person cleaning up another area found a second brick of cocaine. Soon after, island residents told me about the cocaine washing ashore on the beach. So I wanted to find out if this was common. How often do you see something like this happening?
And it happens maybe, I don't know, every blue moon, I guess, every few months or so, we'll get a report of cocaine washing up or narcotics washing up.
Captain Wesley Groth tells me the cocaine could have come from a narcotics vessel from the Caribbean. Now, guys, it was right around here on the beach at Penns between mile markers 10 and 11 where they found the cocaine. The Weinheimers say their 2 German shepherds led Daniel to where the first brick of cocaine was hidden in the sand. Caitlin tells me she's thankful her son told a grown-up right away. Did you learn any valuable lessons through this happening to you?
Being very observant definitely makes me proud, and it also was a good chance to just talk to kids about the kind of things out in the world that we want to protect them from, and also educate them on the right thing to do in these situations.
The Texas game warden I talked to said if you're on the beach and find something suspicious on shore, call this number. On Padre Island National Seashore, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Erin Hawley, KRIS 6 News.
Hey there, happy Wednesday. So waking up today this morning in the coastal bend, we don't have to deal with foggy conditions, thankfully, but what we do have to deal with is muggy and very windy conditions here currently in place in the coastal bend. So much so that we're waking up to temperatures already in towards the mid to upper 70s right now. So that's just on the count of that moisture and humidity that is at play for us in the forecast. It's leading us to already waking up to it feeling pretty much like it's already midday in the coastal bend right now. Now, we are expecting our winds to be going at a pretty fast pace coming in from the southeast. Those wind speeds have been pretty gusty since yesterday afternoon. That's going to continue today and throughout the remainder of our work week. So we can see those wind speeds clocking around 20 miles an hour for us as we go throughout the remainder of our morning, starting to decrease a bit during the 1, 2, 3 o'clock hours this afternoon, then yet again increasing as we head towards this evening, back up to around 20 mile an hour winds for our sustained winds. But our wind gusts, those are going to be going at a bit of a faster pace, to put it the least. So we'll be seeing right now wind speeds for our wind gusts clocking around 40, 45 miles an hour. That's going to continue into the next hour by 7 o'clock this morning. Bit of a decrease there and towards the 30s, 35 mile an hour wind gusts, and then it's going to be pretty much the average throughout the day, at least seeing 30, 35 mile an hour wind gusts in the coastal bend. So just a very breezy day that we'll be in store for, along with a summer-like day with our temperatures increasing to around into the 90s across most neighborhoods by this afternoon. Looking at our planner, again, we can see we'll be looking at windy conditions in place for us. Temperatures increasing to around the upper 80s by lunchtime, then approaching the 90s as we head towards 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Under those mostly sunny skies, that's what's going to add towards why we'll be dealing with pretty high temperatures for this afternoon, along with moisture and humidity at play, increasing our feel-like temperatures by this afternoon as well. So even as we head towards lunchtime, we'll be looking at our air temperatures being towards the upper 80s, but we'll be feeling like the upper 90s as we head towards lunchtime this afternoon across the coastal bend. Then around 3, 4 o'clock, that's going to be our hottest point of the day. We'll be seeing across the coastal bend temperatures thereby increasing towards the triple digits, around 101, 102 degrees for our feel-like temperatures by 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon. So just a very dangerously hot day that will be in store for here in the area. So much so that we'll be looking at forecast high temperatures, potentially record-breaking or at least near record temperatures forecasted for today. 95 degrees, maybe matching our record temperature set back in 1982. Ahead for your Thursday, looking at a high temperature of 93 degrees, just 1 degree shy from that old record set back at 94 degrees in 2017. So again, we'll be ending our work week with breezy conditions and maybe near record or record record-breaking temperatures ahead for us here in the coastal bend. So we do have also an elevated heat risk right now for us in place. That's going to continue throughout the week as well until we have that cold front that's going to pass through this weekend, giving us a small chance for shower activity, but most importantly, cooling us down to below average temperatures next week.
Julia, thank you so much. So President Trump's Liberation Day is here. Coming up after the break, Scripps News Group, Joe St. George, breaks down what we know so far about the big tariffs being unveiled today. Welcome back, folks. The big tariff day is here. President Trump has dubbed today, April 2nd, to be Liberation Day. Scripps News Group Deputy Political Director Joe St. George joins us live now this morning. Good morning, Joe. So the Trump administration hasn't revealed many key details about the tariffs, but what can we expect to find out today?
Right. You summed it up perfectly. I wish we had more details, right? We're, give or take, 9 hours away from this announcement taking place. And a lot of this has been closely guarded by the Trump administration. We don't know exactly what the president has in store. We don't know the rates that he wants to charge countries. We don't know the total numbers of countries impacted. It's certainly possible that every continent, every corner of this globe is impacted by President Trump's actions today. Liberation Day has long been billed by the Trump administration as one of the most consequential days in American history. We could be talking about the most tariffs, the biggest tax policy change when it comes to this issue, when it comes to trade. We have to go way back in the history books, maybe since President McKinley, who was a big fan of tariffs, and enacted 50% tariffs way back in the late 1800s here. The timing of this is interesting. The announcement will be at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Central Time. Lawmakers are almost always late, so this may slip a bit later than that. But that's after the markets close. So we're not going to get the instant reaction from Wall Street, but that reaction will obviously occur. The question is, what do other countries do? Do they retaliate, impacting American businesses that ship their goods overseas? We do know a little bit about what's happening today because of previous announcements, right? Those auto tariffs that we talked about last week, they're set to go into effect late tonight as well. That could raise the price of an imported car from another country as much as $10,000 potentially. Now, economists pretty much universally have said that when a tariff is placed, a business like Walmart will pay the tax and then just pass the cost on to you, the consumer, with the higher price at the store or online. The White House has pushed back on that economic theory, saying they really believe that countries are going to have to pay at least portions of this if they want to remain competitive in the U.S. market. The why is important. The president is doing this because he believes there's way too many trade imbalances. He thinks countries have been taking advantage of American-made goods, and he wants more products to be made in the United States. Of course, all of that takes time. You can't just build a car plant overnight. And in the meantime, there may be some sticker price shock in the near future. Republican Speaker of the House Mike Johnson has said, he told reporters yesterday, that Americans are going to have to trust the instincts of President Trump when it comes to the economy. It's cliche to say in TV news, but stay tuned. We'll get more details throughout the day.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joe, for following this, and we'll see you tomorrow.
All right, now taking it outside, looking at our First Community Bank Skycam atop the USS Lexington, a jumpy Skycam there because of those faster wind speeds coming in from the southeast. But those wind speeds are kind of helping us out a little bit. We don't have to wake up to those dense foggy conditions that we had to deal with yesterday because of those faster wind speeds. But it's a slight hazard just because you want to make sure you're holding onto that steering wheel tight and focusing on your drive to make sure you get towards your destination safely. Looking at those traffic flow maps, though, heading from Portland over to the Harbor Bridge, looking at easy driving conditions in terms of no heavy traffic flow on the Harbor Bridge at the moment. All clear on Ocean Drive as well as on SPID. Heading on Saratoga, you have no traffic concerns to worry about there either. Heading on towards Flower Bluff, all clear on Wadsworth Road and Flower Bluff Drive. Heading on over towards the gate, though, at NAS Corpus Christi, you can see a bit of a median speed happening over there at the moment. And then heading on the JFK Causeway going to and from the island, looking at easy driving conditions there as well this morning. That's it for Traffic Report, but details in your forecast coming up.
Julia, thank you so much. Still ahead on Chris 6 Sunrise, something big is coming to Padre Island this month, and I'm talking barbecue, live music, and more. For this week's Veterans in Focus, I'll show you how this special event will help support our neighbors who have served.
Now, weather on the 6s.
Good morning and welcome on back. Right now we're taking a live look outside off our Whataburger Skycam pointed over towards downtown Corpus Christi. We can see got a whole view of our buildings out there over in downtown not being obstructed by that fog that we had to deal with yesterday morning. But now we have to deal with some pretty intense winds going around 30 miles an hour throughout some neighborhoods. So you can see some of those flags just going on top of those buildings right now. Let's go and take a look at those current conditions though across the coastal bend. All of us are waking up to very muggy conditions in store right now just because of those winds coming in from a southeasterly direction. So all that moisture coming in from the Gulf of Mexico pushing its way into the coastal bend, leading towards those warmer temperatures that we're waking up to at the moment. Here in Corpus Christi sitting at 75 degrees, 74 over in Beeville, 73 in Port Aransas, 75 degrees right now in Rockport. We can see all of us are looking at those winds coming in from the southeast, clocking anywhere towards the upper 20s or even to the teens for our current wind speeds, around 28 miles an hour winds being clocked over in Corpus Christi. So those faster wind speeds again are going to be a bit of a positive factor in our forecast this morning just because it kind of helps us break away and not allowing towards that fog to build for us during the morning. So that's not going to be an issue for us visibility wise throughout most neighborhoods, but still have that sea fog that is somewhat active for areas like Port Aransas and over in Rockport, seeing anywhere near 4 to 3.5 miles for your visibility right now this morning. Looking at those wind speeds though, we can see they're clocking at a pretty fast pace, around 28 miles an hour wind speeds being clocked here in Corpus Christi, 16 in Port Aransas, 24 mile an hour wind speeds being clocked over in the Bluff. For those wind gusts, those are going to be going around 40, 45 miles an hour right now. That's going to continue into the next hour by 7 o'clock this morning, decreasing a little bit, heading close towards lunchtime in this afternoon, but on average across the board for us today on this Wednesday, we'll be looking at our wind speeds for our wind gusts clocking around 35 miles an hour for the most part during the day. Now, the main story, though, for our forecast is going to be that summer-like heat that we have to contend with today. We'll be looking at our forecast highs for the most part getting towards the upper 90s, maybe even the triple digits in neighborhoods like Kingsville, Alice, Freer, Hebronville, as well as Fafuria. See your forecast high temperatures being either 100 or 101 degrees. Now, even if your air temperatures don't reach that, your feel-like temperatures are going to by this afternoon just because all that moisture and humidity that's going to be out there. Even by lunchtime, where most of us will still have our temperatures for the most part towards the upper 80s or maybe the low 90s, we'll still have our feel-like temperatures above that into the upper 90s, then eventually reaching 100, 102 degrees across most neighborhoods for our highest amount of feel-like temperatures that we're going to have to endure for us this afternoon. So for that reason, we do have an elevated heat risk in store for us today across the coastal bend, anywhere between minor to a moderate risk. That's going to be extended today into tomorrow and for your Friday, as we see the stint of summertime-like weather stay pretty dominant in the forecast as we end our work week. But I know for folks who don't like the summertime type heat, I have good news for you. Looking at your 7-day forecast, we'll have that cold front that's going to pass through overnight into your Sunday. That's going to give us a big cool down in our temperatures well below average towards the 70s.
This is Veterans in Focus, sponsored by the Heil Law Firm, battling for justice, winning for the community.
This month, American Legion Post 229 is cooking up its biggest fundraiser of the year, serving up a side of some flavor and a whole lot of fun.
The island has a very large veteran population.
American Legion Post 229, also known as the Islander Post, has been making waves since its establishment just under 2 years ago. In July 2023, we were there when it received its official charter, making a new chapter in veteran support.
We didn't have anything on this side of the bridge. Everything was in town. It just seemed like the right thing to do to have an organization for veterans out here that could also help out the island community for all the events.
Since then, the Post has grown into a thriving community with over 110 members.
We're really enjoying the inclusion of all the new members to all of our activities.
Beyond providing a space for veterans to connect and support one another, this Post is all about giving back. Members participate in a variety of community events, spreading the spirit of volunteerism throughout throughout the island.
We have a Blue Moon Luau that's put on every fall, and we actually provide the pigs for that and cook them, and then we also help out with some of the beach cleanups every year.
The Post's biggest mission is to support veterans and promote educational opportunities. And this year, they're taking it up a notch with the Padre Island Barbecue Beach Bash, a 2-day event that will raise funds to support their cause. This whole entire space here that we're in is going to be filled with all kinds of things to do, right?
Yes, we're going to have the Budweiser stage out here, and that's going to be where our live music venues are going to be at. We're also going to have up to, I believe, 40 barbecue teams that will be set up out here in portion of the parking lot, and we'll have local vendors.
General admission is $25, giving you access to both days of the event. All proceeds will go to support the Post Veterans Outreach programs and to benefit the Seashore Learning Center, Flower Bluff JROTC, and the island's Boy Scout troop.
This is part of our mentoring program. You know, they're great organizations. They help build young people.
Now, the American Legion is still looking for some barbecue teams who want to compete. If you're interested, you can go to our website for their contact information. And the event will actually be held right here at the Briscoe King Pavilion on April 11th and 12th.
And now taking it outside, look at our CC Skycam over at Snoopy's Pier. We can see things are looking pretty good in terms of your traffic flow heading out the door. No issues in visibility either for the most part. All of us are looking at pretty strong winds coming from the southeast, so it's going to be helpful in breaking apart of any of that sea fog to really develop, not allowing it to. So we'll be looking at pretty decent visibility this morning, much better compared to yesterday. Let's go and take a look at those traffic maps, get a better idea what you can expect for your drive heading out the door. Hey, we're pulling over to the Harbor Bridge in both directions, looking at clear and easy driving conditions. Moving out towards downtown, all clear on Ocean Drive down to SPID as well as in Saratoga. No issues for your traffic flow on either of those three roadways. Moving now on over to Flower Bluff, pretty much all clear. It's just maybe a little bit of a medium speed that you'll encounter throughout portions of Waldron Road as well as on Flower Bluff Drive. And then heading on to the JFK Causeway going to and from the island. Look at easy driving conditions on that bridge as well this morning. That's it for Traffic Report. With details of your forecast coming up.
Fixing streets across Corpus Christi has been top of mind for city leaders. I'm Alexis Scott, your neighborhood news reporter, with a look at the city's residential streets program and a sigh of relief from neighbors.
Scams are on the rise in Clayburgh County. I'm Michaela Chavez, your neighborhood news reporter. I'll tell you which scams are making their way around town and how you can protect yourself.
Now, say hello to your neighbors. This is your Chris 6 News Sunrise Shoutouts.
Hello, Chris 6 Sunrise team. We're at Toloso Midway's Glam Studio in the Annabelle neighborhood, and we want to wish our neighbors across the Coastal Bend a great day.
Hey, we hope you guys also have a great day, everyone at the Midway Glam Studio. Folks, if you want to send us a shout out video too, you can scan the QR code that you see on your screen or head to our website, christv.com.
From Chris 6, this is 20 minutes of non-stop news.
Yes, we are starting that 20 minutes of non-stop news with a live look from one of our sky cams looking over the beautiful city of Corpus Christi. Folks, it's 6:41 right now, 75 degrees outside. Of course, we will check in with meteorologist Julia Quady in just a bit, but first we have news from your neighborhood.
At some point, we've all complained about the streets in our neighborhood. That's why the city is fixing several of them. I'm Alexis Scott, your neighborhood news reporter near Metro Corpus Christi, where neighbors tell me these repairs have made their commutes a lot easier.
Well, Blevins was a pretty good street when we moved in, but until recently, it would fill full of potholes.
Gerald Simpson and his wife have lived near Blevins Street for more than 30 years. Before recent repairs, Simpson says the roads were a mess and hard to navigate.
Well, you had to just kind of go back and forth across the street in certain spots.
As part of the city's rapid pavement program, city leaders are prioritizing residential streets. Rather than putting a quick Band-Aid on these roads, crews have been completely repairing them. Some of the streets getting a facelift include Moon Drive, Greenview Drive, Tobin Drive, and Lamont Drive. Simpson says the quick turnaround is what actually impressed him.
And they did a good job, it appears. It's a lot smoother. And to my surprise, it took them about a week and a half, which normally would have taken them probably 3 or 4 weeks.
The city's Public Works Department says they're about 75% done with major residential street repairs. Several other road projects are expected to be completed by the beginning of fall 2025. Simpson says he hopes city leaders continue to prioritize fixing residential streets, as well as adding more safety measures for speeders in the area. Near Metro Corpus Christi, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Alexis Scott, Chris 6 News.
I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Victoria Valderrama, at Broadway Tower on North Upper Broadway Street. We've learned there's no electricity in this 20-story office building. It was just a few months ago they had no water. That's why I came back to get answers. Back in January, senior neighborhood news reporter Suzanne Stevens told you that the building had no water and wastewater services. An in-depth investigation discovered the property management company Tyco had not made any utility payment since May 2024. Other claims had been made against the management company, including a civil lawsuit filed by Tara Energy LLC, alleging Tyco had failed to pay its electricity bill at the property. I tried calling Tyco about these claims, but they didn't answer.
At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press the pound key for more options.
I did speak to a past tenant who didn't want to be on camera. She tells me several neighbors have left Broadway Tower. She says there's about 4 tenants still renting space here. Once we hear back from Tyco, we'll be sure to keep you updated. Reporting in Corpus Christi, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Victoria Valderrama for Chris 6 News.
Hey there, good morning. Happy Wednesday. Heading out the door. Thankfully, we don't have to deal with any dense fog throughout our neighborhoods. Just maybe some patchy fog for just areas along the coast. This will include areas like Rockport, Port Aransas, and over in the Bluff and NAS Corpus Christi. Dealing with around maybe 5 miles, at the least 3.5 miles of visibility at this hour. So again, a little bit some foggy conditions, but nowhere near as bad as we found it to be yesterday. Right now, waking up though, we're looking at our temperatures and flight temperatures already well on their way, warming up towards the mid to upper 70s at this hour, just on the account of all that moisture and humidity, adding towards why things are going to be feeling very warm for us already this morning, and only get all the more warmer with our stint of summer really beginning later on this afternoon. Right now, taking a look at our current wind speeds, we can see they're moving at a pretty fast pace, continuing from yesterday afternoon. We saw those faster wind speeds beginning to get introduced toward the forecast. So it's going to continue for us today on this Wednesday, seeing our wind speeds for the most part clocking around 20, 22 miles an hour throughout the day today on our Wednesday. Before our wind gusts, those will be going at a pretty much significantly faster pace, upwards around 45 miles an hour for our wind gusts that will be coming in this morning, then decreasing a little bit by this afternoon, and then starting to peak up a little bit more, back up to around the 30s for your wind gusts throughout the day, heading towards the early morning hours on your Thursday. So around average, we'll be looking at least 30 to 35 miles an hour wind gust speeds that will be clocked here in the coastal bend. Looking at our planner, we'll be seeing windy conditions along with hot summer heat that we'll have to deal with in the forecast today. Temperatures will already be warming up towards the upper 80s by lunchtime, then increasing towards the 90s by 2 o'clock this afternoon. We'll see a little bit some cloud cover a little bit this morning, and then begin to really break apart, allowing for more just plainly sunny conditions that we'll look forward to for this afternoon, but that's going to add towards why things are going to get so hot as it relates towards our temperatures by this afternoon too. But again, that's just towards our air temperatures. They'll be reaching the mid 90s or maybe the upper 90s throughout some neighborhoods, but we'll be already feeling like it by lunchtime for our feel like temperatures increasing towards the upper 90s across most neighborhoods by 12 o'clock this afternoon. Then reaching by 3, 4 o'clock, of course, our hottest time period of the day, with that heat really generating and being pretty strong for us in the coastal bend. That's what all of us across the coastal bend mostly seeing our temperatures, our feel like temperatures specifically increasing to around 100 or even up to 102 degrees across most neighborhoods by this afternoon. So you want to make sure you're practicing some heat safety tips, because with those mostly sunny conditions also at play, we'll be looking at a very high UV index in place at 10. So that means our bird time is going to be around 15 to 25 minutes. So you want to make sure you layer up on that sunscreen, maybe wear a hat, make sure you just protect your skin for any outdoor activities. If you're spending an extended period of time for sure outdoors today, just on the account of those very hot and humid conditions that will feel very summer-like today, and that's going to continue for us tomorrow, even towards the end of your work week on Friday, along with those breezy winds coming in from the southeast. We'll see a cold front that's going to pass through this weekend, giving us a small chance to see some shower activities overnight, but really main story, we'll see some cooler temperatures into next week.
Now, 6 things to know before you go.
In the 6 things you need to know, a group of Corpus Christi water employees were recognized during Tuesday's City Council for carrying out an engineering miracle, they call it, that brings millions of gallons of water to the city. Now, since June of last year, the Mary Roads pipeline has been operating under Schedule 3, and that means it was pumping 55 million gallons of water a day thanks to upgrades and the team's work. The pipeline has been operating under Schedule 4 since last Monday. Now, that means it's now pumping 70 million gallons of water a day. The Mary Roads pipeline was designed to pump 79 million gallons of water a day from Lake Texana to Corpus Christi. A new project is in the works for SPID. The $58 million project will take place between Staples and Nile and will involve a new round of ramp reversals. This project will involve converting 3 ramps in each direction on both the eastbound and westbound sides of SPID. It will be divided into 7 phases and is expected to be completed in 2029. The Coastal Bend State Veterans Cemetery visiting hours have been extended from now until September 30th. The Coastal Bend Veterans Cemetery, along with all Texas veterans cemeteries, will be open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The Veterans Land Board extended the hours for spring and summer to account for longer days. Mr. Gatti's Pizza is back in the Coastal Bend. It's being built near the Olive Garden restaurant along Highway 181 in Portland. Corpus Christi's South Side had a Gatti's location for 12 years before closing it back in 2016. The Portland franchise is locally owned and has a grand opening target date of December. Seventh-day Adventist Church will be hosting their 2nd annual Community Health Fair this weekend. It will take place Sunday from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. at Cole Park, so you can stop by and get free health screenings, including cholesterol, blood pressure, and diabetes, along with information that can help you achieve your health goals. So the Corpus Christi Hooks minor league season kicks off this week with a road trip. They'll be in Frisco on Friday at 7:05 p.m. Their home opener is next Tuesday against the San Antonio Missions. But if you want a sneak peek, they host Texas A&M Kingsville tonight for an exhibition. First pitch is at 6:35 p.m.
All right, now taking outside, looking at our SPID Skycam, we can see those roadways are beginning to get a little bit more busy as folks start to head on out the door, get their morning and their Wednesday started. You can expect to see a lot of your neighbors on SPID right now this moment, but it doesn't look to be too congested right now. Let's go and take a look at the rest of those traffic maps to get a better idea of what you can expect for your morning commute on other roadways. Heading on the JFK Causeway, going to and from the island, look at easy driving conditions right now. Heading on over towards Flower Bluff, a little bit of a mixture of medium to slow speed that you might encounter throughout portions of Waldron Road as well as on Flower Bluff Drive. Pretty much all clear as you leave the gate at NAS Corpus Christi, but approaching it, you can expect a bit of a medium speed happening there at this moment. Moving now on towards downtown, all clear on Ocean Drive as well as on SPID. Heading on Saratoga, looking at easy driving conditions there too. And then heading lastly towards the Harbor Bridge going to and from Portland, you're looking at easy driving conditions for your morning commute there as well. That's it for Traport. More details of your forecast coming up in just a bit.
Have you checked your email recently? If you have, you might have gotten something like this. I'm Michaela Chavez, your neighborhood news reporter in Claiborne County. Scams like this have been popping up a lot recently, and that's why officials urge you to be on the lookout.
It definitely happens to your friends, to your neighbors.
Scams. We've all seen them.
It happens every day, and there are millions of dollars lost.
As I was scrolling through social media, I ran into this post.
This is something that we are seeing often. We were seeing it actually at the BBB as well. We were targeted with this particular scam.
A warning for neighbors in Claiborne County.
They're sending the email to people. It's usually in a work environment, but it doesn't have to be in a work environment, and saying that they're sending you this document that needs to be opened.
I reached out to Katie Galan with the Better Business Bureau about this. She called it the imposter scam.
They're impersonating actual legitimate organizations or entities like, the Sheriff's Department or the City of Corpus Christi.
It shows up as a Dropbox DocSend email. Galan says they've seen this over the last month, but it's not new.
We'll see it a lot for probably the next few weeks, maybe a couple of months, and then it'll disappear, and then we'll see something else.
And while it might look legit,
you'll see little nuances.
Pay attention to things like misspellings.
The proper name would have, an O, for instance, and the scammer will put a 0.
That's one way Claiborne County neighbor Carolyn Simon says she can spot a scam.
We watch out for one another.
She says if she doesn't catch it right away, her husband will.
You don't send any money over your cell phone. You don't text to people about what you have or who you are.
She says the best thing to do is avoid replying to anyone you don't know.
I think especially as we get older, sometimes we forget those things. And so it's just being aware.
And if you're unsure, you can always call the organization or person who it came from to double check. And one final tip from the Better Business Bureau: hover to discover. Hover your cursor over whatever you're being sent to see if it's a legit and secure site that you're being taken to. With your neighborhood news in Claiborne County, I'm Michaela Chavez, Chris 6 Sunrise.
Michaela, thank you so much. So this next story is a fun one. Mimi's Mini Farm helped one Rockport neighbor carry out an April Fool's prank. Mini Farm was hired to put an entire petting zoo in her bedroom to surprise her when she came home from school. Chicken, baby goats, a mini pig, and ducks were having a barnyard party in Kelvie Miller's room.
Very surprised. I definitely didn't think it was going to be this, but it's still pretty funny.
Now, according to Miller, this is a tradition she and her mom have had for years, but this one has been the biggest prank yet. Oh my goodness, that's a nice prank too. It's so cute.
It is.
I just wouldn't expect it. I always like the nicer pranks more than the mean ones. Because I would never want to be a victim of a mean prank. That's for sure. I don't know about you.
Have you ever pulled a mean prank before?
No, I'm not like that.
Okay, that was a strong no.
But what if we had a little mini farm set up here in your weather center? Would you appreciate it?
It depends what animals would be in there.
What animals don't you want in there?
Well, I feel like after our story that we saw about the chickens and roosters, now I'm disturbed. Now I'm scared.
I'm sure their farm's chickens look pretty friendly.
Yeah. Okay, I'll be having little piggies. I like cute little piglets. They're cute.
I think what would make it a mean prank is if we said, you have to clean it up now.
Oh, okay. And then, okay. Yeah, that'll be a no for me. A hard no.
Now, do we feel like this is good barnyard weather for our animal friends?
Starting out this morning, yes, but I think conditions can begin to get a little bit oppressive by the time we head towards this afternoon, just because we'll see those temperatures increasing and soaring in towards the 90s or even the triple digits for inland neighborhoods, and that's just our air temperatures. Feel like temperatures going way beyond that, around 102 degrees throughout some areas. But right now, looking at our current visibility, things are much better compared to yesterday morning. We do have those stronger wind speeds coming in from the southeast, so it's not really allowing any of that sea fog to truly build for us this morning. So just a little bit patchy fog just impacting parts for areas there along the coast. So Rockport, Port Aransas, and over in the Bluff, you guys are seeing around 5 miles or maybe at the least 3.5 miles for your visibility right now this morning. So again, we'll take it, especially in comparison to yesterday where we were all across the area dealing even with around a mile or less or 2 miles or less for our visibility yesterday. But looking at our temperatures and feel like temperatures, we're well towards the mid to upper 70s right now. That's on the account of all that moisture and humidity that is currently building here in the coastal bend, and that's part of the reason why we'll be looking at our temperatures soaring by this afternoon. But let's go ahead and introduce our star for this morning. We have Winston, who's out there ready for his dog walk. Now, I would suggest maybe Winston and his person go out earlier this morning rather than later this afternoon, just because we'll be seeing an increase of those temperatures and feel like temperatures already getting towards the 90s for our feel like temperatures by the time we're approaching lunchtime. So right now things are the most ideal as it's going to get for us today on this Wednesday. Temperatures right now towards the 70s, only reaching the 80s by around 10, 11 o'clock this morning. We'll see our wind speeds. Those are going to be pretty consistent coming in from the southeast too, going upwards around 20 to 25 miles an hour with wind gusts around 35 miles an hour for our average later on today as well. We're looking at our temperatures for later on this afternoon. All of us going to be well towards the 90s, looking at not much of any cloud cover out there. So of course, all that sunshine is just going to add towards that moisture and humidity, just leading towards our temperatures again, truly soaring for us this afternoon, along with our feel like temperatures. So right as we head towards around 3, 4 o'clock this afternoon, of course, around our hottest point of the day, we'll be looking at our feel like temperatures going towards the triple digits across the majority of our neighborhoods here in the coastal bend. So this is very dangerous summer-like heat that we'll have to contend with here for us today. So you just want to make sure that you're wearing that sunscreen, limiting your time outdoors if you are indeed sensitive towards this type of dangerous heat that we'll have in hand. But looking at our forecast high temperatures, we'll be kind of flirting with near record high temperatures, not only today, but tomorrow, and a little not so much on Friday, but still looking at hot above average temperatures that will be ending our work week with, even ahead for us on Friday. And we'll still be looking at an elevated risk for heat risk, specifically anywhere between that mild towards moderate range that will be in store for today and leading towards the end of our work week. But for folks who are not a fan of the summer-like weather like me and Michelle are, we have good news coming on the way. We'll have that cold front that's going to pass through this weekend, giving us cooler temperatures next week.
Yeah, there you go. A little bit of something for everybody,
we all
right?
get something. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Julia, and thank you folks for joining us today. We will see you later at noon for more news from your neighborhood.